After a great day in downtown Sandwich, Illinois, including a fun car show and a terrific parade, the time has come to frost the cake with the fireworks show at the historic Sandwich Fairgrounds. Just a half a mile out of town, we were greeted with a smiling face at the gate and took the tour through these historic grounds. First opened in 1958, the 2025 fair will celebrate 167 years, filling up with crowds every Wednesday through Sunday, the week after Labor Day. The fair will present everything from antique engines, trucks, tractors, and a miniature train that hauls passengers to every kind of garden and agricultural product and vegetable you can think of. The big yellow Home Arts building we passed is not only a popular photographer backdrop, but shows off the cakes, cookies, pies, breads, and other delights, along with sewing creations by the hundreds. Displays in and out of the buildings on the grounds include industrial, construction, crafts, woodworking, health and beauty products, and more. There's an art exhibit including sculpture, photography, pottery, and painting. You never know when you might encounter a talking robot, traveling bluegrass band, magician, or politician as you cruise the walkways. With every kind of fair food imaginable, patrons can enjoy the delicacies after the rides that fill the area to the right of us as we near our spot. Now facing the livestock buildings, we're reminded that fairgoers and animal lovers are able to see everything from cows, pigs, poultry, goats, rabbits, and even an FFA petting zoo they can enjoy. Interspersed in this area is a soundstage often occupied by local bands and was frequently used by Max Armstrong and the WGN radio news show. Longtime fair attendees will also feel the spirits of Orion Samuelson, Uncle Bobby Collins, and many other historic personalities who graced that stage through time. Arriving at our desired location, we'll pull the chairs and stake claim to our fireworks viewing vantage point as we wait for the girls, the food, and the rest of our crowd to join us for the night. Won't be long until this big open infield will be the site of the Sandwich Fire Department's launching pad for the show this evening. So once again, grab that beverage of choice and an armload of snacks, sit back, and enjoy the show. Out among 'em entertainment, still hanging with Moonshine Muscle Productions presents, in spite of the impending doom of weather, the 2025 Independence Day Fireworks Show from the Sandwich Fairgrounds. And now, as we bid this lovely town and fairgrounds farewell for the day, we'll stream out in orderly fashion and say thank you to all who gave their time, talent, and effort in putting on a fabulous day of fun, sun, music, and entertainment for us all. So long, good night, and God bless America. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, and you really want to, please subscribe.